Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Andy from sellerseo.com, and today I have Amy with me. Amy's gonna go over. Actually, I wanted to interview her just because she was one of the earliest users of Seller SEO, and kind of watched her business grow and watched her journey, and thought it was pretty interesting, fun to see coming from. I started 2013, so I got that experience early on, and it's fun to watch somebody else kind of go through that experience. For some reason, I can't hear her though. So let me pull up my Facebook. Maybe I can hear it through Facebook here. So I got that experience, which I can. So you're probably going to hear that. So let me figure out how to get this through my earphones. I haven't used this Be Live for a while, so fun stuff. Always. That experience, which I can. So you're probably gonna hear that. So let me figure out how to get this through my earphones. I haven't used this deal. All right, and it's probably gonna be a little delayed for me, which is fun as well. 1 second here. Okay. The joy of doing this kind of stuff. I swear that always happens, but that's what makes it fun, right? All right. Give us a second, folks. And actually, this is fine because this will give us hopefully some time for people to jump on. Let's see, inputs. Okay, let's try that. All right, there we go. All right, so we're gonna add Amy in here, and let's see. Hopefully, we can get her on and get her.
Hello.
All right, I can hear you. Sweet.
Yay!
How's it going?
It's going good.
Awesome. And I see what's going on. I guess I don't get to see you or hear you until you're into the broadcast. So I guess that's the deal here, which is kind of funny. But anyway, thanks so much for making the time to come chat with me today. I really appreciate it.
Hey, no problem.
Yeah, awesome. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of do a interview type setup. And but before we do that, there's something definitely required here. If I can get it. Okay, yeah, there we go. Perfect. This is gonna be fun, and it's mostly just for me because I took the time to come up with it. So there we go. What do you think?
Oh, very nice. I like it.
There, right? Except Iceman didn't have a beard, right?
Yeah, I think you're pulling off Iceman. Yeah. I was Wonder Woman last year, and I didn't want to put the Wonder Woman costume on today. I've been out doing product photography and stuff, so I'm like, I'll be a cat. Goes with my pet brand.
That works. Perfect. All right, cool. So let's get started. So I'm just going to kind of go through the questions, and then of course you can answer you can answer what you want to. If you don't want to answer, then you can give me a pass. How about that?
Oh, I get passes? I like that.
Sure,
like
yeah, you can pass. You can pass because some stuff might be trade secrets, so I don't want to give your competitors any insight. So you give me a pass if you don't want to answer it. So okay, first thing is just want to learn more about you, where you were born, where you live now, things like that.
Well, I was born in the wonderful state of Wisconsin. I'm a cheesehead.
I went to college in the Midwest, so I love that area.
Yeah. So I didn't love the cold. And people say you get used to the cold growing up in the Midwest, but I never got used to it. It was always cold.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So when I graduated, I moved right away to California, and I joined the Air Force. So
I did not realize you were in the great state of California, where I am now, and I say that semi-sarcastically. And all the people in California are probably going to hate on me for that, including my wife. But
I love California. It's so beautiful, but it is really expensive. So I'm happy. So you asked where I live now. I live in Texas now. My husband and I are both retired Air Force, and we have 2 beautiful daughters, and we work full-time out of our house here in San Antonio, Texas. We decided, my husband's from Baltimore and I'm from Wisconsin. So we decided we didn't really want to go back to any of those places after we were done with the military. So we made a home here in San Antonio, and we love it.
Awesome. Yeah, that's Texas is actually one of the states I keep kind of trying to get my wife to buy off on, but I don't think she's leaving. Her whole family's here, so I think this is where I am. So I've turned it, before I used to be grouchy about it because I was getting tired of California taking like 50-60% of my income, but I decided to just take the pain now.
Just accept it. Let it happen.
Absolutely. Yep. All right, cool. So let's go into a little bit. So like, when did you first learn about Amazon, like the kind of the opportunity and, kind of when the gears started turning about like maybe thinking about trying to make a living or, start selling on Amazon? Was it like, did you have your product idea first, or did you see that people were making money and then say, hey, I need to come up with a product? Like, how did that scenario play out?
No, I started selling. I've always had side businesses. And when I was in the military, I realized like 10 years ago, I was like, hey, I've got extra textbooks and crap laying around my house. I'm just going to scan it and sell it on Amazon. So I've been selling merchant fulfilled on Amazon and eBay as early as I can remember. I used to go to like the thrift store, and I would buy like whatever, at Goodwill. And I remember one time I found this camera, this like Insta type of camera, Polaroid kind of thing, just old, falling apart, but Goodwill had like 8 of them. And they were selling for $150 used on Amazon.
Oh,
so
wow.
Of course, I cleaned out the whole thing, and I'm like, man, I'm hooked. This is awesome. So I've always done that. And then my husband and I got stationed in Hawaii. So I took a break from it for a long time because Hawaii, the shipping is really expensive. So I didn't want to play with that. And then when we got back to San Antonio all these years later, I invented a product. So then, I decided, well, what better way than Amazon? There's no barriers to entry. I'm going to take this thing and run with it. And luckily, I still had this great account with all these great feedbacks, and I could basically sell anything. So
awesome.
It was really just worked out for the best.
Nice. So I didn't realize. So I don't know if you knew, but I'm from Hawaii, so that's interesting. I didn't know you were in Hawaii. Were you in Kaneohe or?
I was in Honolulu on Oahu.
Uh-huh.
We were stationed at Hickam Air Force Base.
Oh, Hickam. Okay, cool. Yeah. All right. Interesting.
I actually had the coolest commute in the Air Force while I was stationed there. I got to kayak across Pearl Harbor every morning instead of driving.
Yeah, Hawaii is a great place. I definitely miss it more and more every day. So luckily, my dad still lives there, so we can go back and visit. So yeah, that's definitely cool. Funny, there's a lot of similarities there. I've been doing startups and stuff for a long time, but I remember being in college, selling on eBay, and I remember I got this huge order, and this was back when like eBay and PayPal were, it's probably going to date me, but we're still like, well, eBay had been around for a while, but PayPal was like pretty new. And I got this big order, flew this big foreign order, and I like shipped it out, and I was all stoked. It was like, these processors, Pentium processors or whatever, and I shipped them out, and then it was like, no, it's fraudulent. And then then PayPal took all my money away, and it was super frustrating. That was one of my earliest e-commerce experiences. I think it was in I don't know, 98 or something like that. Pretty early, maybe 2000. I can't remember. Somewhere around there. I was in college, but yeah, that was that's funny, and it seems like the people who are really successful on Amazon have either been doing it for a while or have some kind of technical background, which I think we're going to get into a little bit later as well. But yeah, interesting. Okay, cool. Are you full time on Amazon, and what did you do before? So see, this my questions actually flowed fairly well today. That's good.
I am full-time now. I just recently left my day job. So I'm now full-time on Amazon. Thank you. It's exciting.
Yeah. I remember that day.
It's been good to network with other sellers that have left or other entrepreneurs that have left their jobs, because it's a really scary thing to do. And, it was a tough leap to make, but I'm really happy that I did it.
Awesome. So what did you do for the Air Force specifically, if you can tell us, unless it's stamped top secret?
Well, I did, we'll just keep it safe. I did what's called command and control for a long time. So I was a military planner. So I definitely applied that to my business. I planned major operations and ran them into execution. So that really has helped me in my business. Awesome. Really, when you have a good plan, there's nothing you can't do. So I did that for 12 years in the Air Force, and then I went into cybersecurity. So I did some stuff with cybersecurity.
Nice. Okay, sweet. Yeah, that's interesting. We do share a lot of commonalities in the fact that, I used to work for the federal government, not in the Air Force, but in air traffic control and all that kind of stuff. So it's funny. There's definitely a lot of similarities there. Cool. All right. So did you take any courses when you were first starting out, or how did you kind of like learn the basics when you first started your Amazon journey?
So when I first started my Amazon journey, it was nobody like back in the day when I was just flipping things. I just was flipping things. Like there was no courses or anything like that. I was just like, oh, okay, let me see what that costs on Amazon and let me put it on there. And then when I went back and I invented my product and I actually wanted to launch a business, the best resource, honestly, was my local small business association. You've already paid for it with your tax dollars. They help you with free mentors. I learned social media marketing. I learned so many basic things like how to know my numbers, accounting, business legal, all those things. I went to local classes and learned those things. And I basically wrote my business plan. And Amazon to me is less of a business and more of a really powerful sales channel. So I tried to build my brand and my business based on a business plan. And like I said, Amazon was just a great way to get the word out and get that organic.
Right. Yeah. So Amazon, I've definitely been kind of preaching that lately, that Amazon should just be like one part of your business. You should diversify. I mean, that's one of the reasons why, I've been doing software forever. I was taking computers apart when I was 14, but, that's kind of why I do the software as a service. We still sell on Amazon. We still do really well on Amazon, but it's good to diversify. And then my wife just got a real estate license. So we're going to start getting into, which I keep telling my wife that's it's good news and bad news, because whenever there's a new focus in life, with my wife now, it's going to be real estate. That's when my software mind starts turning and I go, oh, I can build a tool better than this, that'll do this, that'll make us more money and all that. So, and my personal goal right now is to just really double down and concentrate on seller SEO and make that, really my main focus. So it's been really, really hard for me though, being the entrepreneurial guy that I am, trying to get the
it's hard not to do like objects. Everything at once, right? Yep. Like to just grab all of it and I'm gonna do this and this and this. I have the same problem.
Yeah. And I think most people in this realm are that way. They're the shiny new object syndrome is what I call it. Cool. Well, so what's been the biggest challenge on Amazon? Like once you got started, I know you were kind of like, tinkering in it before, but like once you created a brand and started really kind of getting into it, what was like the biggest challenge that you felt that you had?
I think the biggest challenge is there's some definite, in order to, flipping things is one thing. You flip something from a thrift store and it's sold and you get all excited, but actually doing this as a full-time business, you really need to learn everything that there is to know about copywriting, product photography, marketing, everything in that gamut. So it was definitely tough to take it from, okay, well, I know how to list a product, to do I know how to list a product and grow it? Right. And some other things along the way. I tried like RA and wholesale in the beginning as I was just kind of getting my feet wet with my brand, and I only had like one product. I definitely made some mistakes and bought things that I either couldn't sell, or I bought things that the next day 20 other sellers jumped on, and suddenly I had a big problem on my hands. And so, I've bought things also like I bought something that was from like a, trying to think of the word, like a liquidation. Yep. I put it out there and it was an old model of somebody's like patented branded listing. And oh my gosh, I thought I was going to lose my seller account. I was like doing everything I could to talk to Amazon and get the product recalled back. So, I've made all those mistakes early on. And then once I learned how to write a listing, and basically my formula is you can sell anything on Amazon if you know how to write a listing and you know how to present that product and you know your audience and your competition. If you can handle those 4 things, you can sell anything.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think one of the biggest mistakes that I see over and over again with sellers is the fact that the ones that succeed are the ones who really kind of put in the time and turn the dials, is what I call it. Like start tinkering. I mean, that's everyone's, like, oh, like a lot of friends and stuff be like, oh, I want to learn how to sell on Amazon and stuff. But then they want you especially in my position, a lot of them are like, want me to show them and show them how to do it and I'm like, no, that's not how you do it. You got to get in the trenches yourself. I will guide you. I'll help you. But a lot of people that don't want to put in the work. And I think that's one of the biggest detriments is people see all these, these things on, with the people selling courses and stuff like, oh, you're going to make $1 million. You're going to drive a Lamborghini and stuff like that. And that's kind of one of the main reasons I haven't done a course yet is because I feel that I don't want to portray that. But there are some,
I call those the secret formula people.
Right.
Like you're following this secret formula
exactly.
And you're going to make the same $1 million that everybody else who's following the same secret formula isn't going to make.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of similar when people are like, I'm stuck on sourcing a product, when they're doing private label, like I can't figure out what to do. I'm like, what that's because you're using Jungle Scout and looking at the same data that 1,000 other sellers are looking at. By the time you get it to market, everybody else is on that same product. So I always tell people you need to flip the script when you're doing sourcing is you got to go with your passion. Like for me, I like volleyball. I like, Major League Baseball. I like, I used to work out a ton. So it's like, go with the stuff that you're into or that you have knowledge either now or in the past. Maybe you had a job as like maybe you owned a, like a landscape company. So, everything there is to know about like fountains. Or take your past experience, and then use Jungle Scout and go verify. Make sure that you've got you got the numbers, you got the demand, and it's not too competitive. But that's kind of what I've been telling people over and over again is flip the script and go the other way around. Everyone uses Jungle Scout and then goes and does their sourcing, and everybody else is looking at that same data. So those are all. Cool. That's great feedback. And pitfalls. When I first started selling, I think we got banned from our Amazon account within a couple of months of starting to sell. Back then it was the Wild West. It was a lot different. But when people get banned, it's just like devastating. And I remember that. But luckily with Amazon, they're actually as rough as people think, as much crap, including myself, as people give Amazon. They're at least one of those companies that gives you a chance to get back in. I've been banned from Google. I used to own a 6-figure or 7-figure app business, and I got banned from Google. And I couldn't. I sent an appeal like 10 times, and they're just like, nope, sorry. Like, even though it was what I got banned for was ridiculous. So when you get banned, just what you need to do is just dial it back and just go through what you've been doing and start reading and learning. That's the biggest thing. Is the reason why people get banned is because they don't know the rules and they haven't taken the time to study. This is just like any other job. When you start as an Amazon seller, consider yourself in like training, and you should be like doing your training manuals every day, which is like YouTube or watching people who've come before you and learn, and then you go from there. So
exactly, yeah.
Cool. All right. Do you have I know that a lot of people on Amazon are doing like private label and things like that. And there's not a ton of people doing like developing their own products, patenting their own stuff. It's actually, I've seen that a lot more lately because people are finally realizing that, you can only private label something so much before, 100 people get on it. And unless you have something that's unique, truly unique and protected by patent, the long-term goals on those products are not going to be as valuable as building something that, nobody else can do. So I know that you have your own, your own product right now. What process, do you have? And I know you're kind of like in the planning stages of something new. Like what process do you use to I'm sure like for me, I'm doing more stuff on the software side, not too much on even though I have an invention book that's 30 pages deep that sits next to my bed because I feel like I always have the next big thing. And then I go on Google Patents and do a search and I'm like, son of a bitch, it's already there, So, what do you have a process or kind of what are you doing to spur your ideas? Are you iterating on stuff or are you coming up with something completely new? What's your process?
I take a customer approach. I'm a problem solver. So I look at problems that are in the marketplace. That's where my invention that's on the market now, 50s, that came out of a problem that I was having. My cat litter box stunk. No matter how many times I cleaned it, it stunk. And I tried everything that was on the market, and everything that was on the market sucked. And then I went out there. So, I had the little book that I always carried with me. and I would write down my ideas. And I was trying to design a better litter box. And I realized every time I'd get to the end of a design, somebody either had already made it or I'd already tried something like it and it didn't work.
Right.
So literally that's what got me, is just having that idea. I woke up one morning and I was like, holy crap, the problem is the litter box. And I woke up one morning and was like, I gotta do this. I have to do this. Nobody else is doing this. So of course I went out there, you asked about my process. I went out there and did a patent search, made sure nobody else had thought of this or was doing this, and they weren't. And then I went to Home Depot and I like walked around. I was all secretive about it. I'm like, so if you were, trying to build like something with like holes in it, and and this nice old man at Home Depot like walked me around. He's like, well, you could use this for that. And so I built my first prototype and it worked amazingly. And then I got feedback. I went to upcounsel.com and hired a patent attorney and was able to I wrote up my own draft patent. And then I was able to get that patent attorney to kind of look over it and make sure it was good. And so we filed my provisional patent. And in the meantime, when I was talking with manufacturers and 3D prototyping, I made sure that I signed NDAs with everyone. So I just, signed NDAs in the beginning and had everything. We 3D printed everything. Luckily, I worked in a building full of brilliant engineers, so for the Air Force. So, I had friends with 3D printers and everything. And I had a friend that was like, hey, I can turn your crappy drawing there into an actual like product if you want 3D CAD. And so we did that, and then we printed it on somebody else's 3D printer. We took that to a manufacturer, and the manufacturer was like, can we have your business card? Because nobody brings us prototypes like this. So we were like, we don't do this full time. What do you mean? Anyway, I was very excited about being able to create that, and now I'm hooked. I can't stop, right? So
Nice.
I've created Tifties. It's on the market. People are loving it. I'm getting rave reviews. We're selling more and more every day. We just launched, so it's scaling, and we're making our second and third orders. And now I'm working on some other products as well in the pet and human categories. So so that's my process. I just make sure it's not already patented. And then I go through and make sure that I get it patented, right? And do the process there. And then I just go through the prototyping, 3D printing, that kind of stuff. And then I find a manufacturer and take it to market.
Awesome. Yeah. So if people don't know, I because like I said, I've been trying to invent stuff for my entire life, and things like that. Software is a little harder to patent, unfortunately. But there's actually a cool piece of software. I think it's called Patent Wizard. If anybody needs, to kind of protect their idea, and it's I think it's PC based. I don't know if it's Mac, but I think it's like a $99, $150 program, and it'll literally like step you through each kind of. It kind of like automates the process of getting your provisional patent going. If any, people don't know what a provisional patent is, it's something that if you got an idea and you're not too far along, you can file provisional patent, and that'll protect you. I think it's for a year, right, Amy?
And it's for a year. And Andy, you should also know that the USPTO, they have basically like a hotline for inventors where they'll help you as a single entity. So for $75, you can basically do a provisional patent with their help. They have like all the templates and everything out there. And when you get lost during the process, they literally have like an 800 number you can call, and they help you actually file it yourself. So, I definitely recommend, if you've got one of those ideas that's like, hey, this is going to make me a lot of money, and, then you hire a lawyer to look it over. But like you said, you can draft most of it yourself, and that's going to save you a lot of money. I think I got to the end of my non-provisional patent, and I was still under like $3,000.
Yeah.
So, it's really not that bad, and it's so worth it. Intellectual property is it's so valuable when you go to sell your business, to have that intellectual property. You watch Shark Tank and you see
Absolutely.
people, and the first question the sharks ask, do you have a patent on that?
Yep,
right?
absolutely.
Because it's the only thing that's sellable. Otherwise, people are going to knock you off immediately. So it's definitely worth putting in the effort and calling the numbers and Googling it and using software like that. That's wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, cool. Look who decided to join us. Hey, what's up, Luke? He's a seller SEO OG too, right?
All right.
Cool. All right. A lot of great insight there. Thank you. So I know that you're starting to, like you said, you're starting to sell more and more and more. So how are you scaling? Like what kind of things have you noticed that that you might not have thought of once you start selling more and more, like I saw the photos of you guys like having tons and tons of boxes, like, offloading from the truck, like logistically, or, anything else like that. Like, are there things that you guys are running into that you didn't really think about that could maybe like help other people that are kind of getting into that position?
Yeah. Well, first of all, when I launched a few products at once, because I didn't want to just have one product. Because, Amazon's a scale game. If you do the numbers, you're going to realize you can't just sell one product. You're going to barely cover your Amazon fees when all is said and done. Yep. So it's best to launch a couple of products. And so some of them I've learned over time with scaling that, first of all, if you have a product that's dead, don't be afraid to rebrand it. I have rebranded my products 100 million times. And that's why I don't use a prep center. I have everything come to my house, and we have a warehouse across the street. And, if something, I only send a little bit into Amazon at a time. So that's an important scaling property, because I don't know, those of you who've been through Q4 before, those inventory storage fees are no joke. Like, we did Q4 last year with major toys, and we barely broke even with all the storage fees on top of the hot selling toys that we were selling. So It's just important to know, I see a lot of private label sellers, and their mistake is, I'm going to send everything into Amazon, 1,000 units. And then you can barely get them selling. And, because it takes time to get your PPC going and get everything moving. Yep. And, then you've got all these units in there, and you're spending thousands of dollars on Q4 inventory storage. So that was one of the lessons that we learned. We keep everything in our warehouse. And then let's say, a product isn't doing well. Well, I only have a few units out there, and then I can like bundle it with something else, send it back in as in a different category, as a different product. I've done that a couple of times. And then as far as scaling goes, quitting our jobs was a big thing, coming home and doing that. And then
more time for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And then just reaching out to other business owners. I coach entrepreneurs, so I definitely learn a lot from them as well. But like local business owners, we sync up with them, and that's how we got our warehouse space, and, talking with different shipping partners. Don't be afraid. Like, we just got our account with UPS, so now we can offer distribution to our retail parties, that kind of thing. So don't be afraid to call even these bigger companies, and UPS, we saved like 85%.
They want. A lot of people are afraid to call not only big businesses, but like, big people. I remember, I have an office, in town, so I have good internet now. But for a while there, I was working from home, and I had satellite internet because we live kind of out in the boonies. And I was having trouble over and over and over again. And, I went to the customer service. Nobody helped me. So I looked up the CEO's executive assistant, and I emailed her, and she got back to me. Like, literally, I hit send on my email, and I got a reply within about 15 seconds. So a lot of people are scared to oh, that person's, so important or whatever. We're not going to, I'm too afraid to call them or ask them for help or whatever. A lot of people in that position actually love to help, so it's never a bad idea to do that. Going back to what you're saying about fulfillment, that's really smart. And something else you can do, like, I think you guys, I think I remember seeing that you guys manufacture in the US, which is awesome. But if you're importing from China, something to think about, like what we did this year, is do what's called, what I'm calling like staged fulfillment. So what we're doing is we ordered massive amount of units from our lady in China. We have a lady in China who does our sourcing for us. And so we I think it was like 35,000 units or something like that, crazy. So what we did was we told her, okay, send the first batch. And we went and we looked at, our previous year's sales, because some of the products a lot of the products are previous, have already been live for a year or two. So we have some sales data on that. And we looked at, okay, so from, October to November, we sold this many. From November to December, we sold this many. We ran out of stock from this time to this time. Like, we kind of took all that data. And then what we did was we told our lady, like, okay, send the first batch so that it hits Amazon at this date, the second batch so it hits at this date, and the third batch so it hits at this date. So you actually don't even need to touch it or warehouse it then. So you're kind of staging. You're building in, like, the shipping company is your warehouse, because by the time they get it there, if you time it out perfectly, you don't have to pay anything. So when it's hitting Amazon, you're getting it there at the perfect time. Now, the wild card is when they check stuff in and when they actually get it into stock, which gets, that you got to remember that lag gets greater and greater as you get closer to the holidays. Actually, last year was phenomenal. They were getting stuff in within like a day, 2-3 days, whereas years past it was taking weeks.
Oh, wow. Yeah, ours usually gets in 2 or 3 days. And I do source in China as well. I have like 10 products in my brand. And so from China, that's a really good tip is, and right now I have it delivered to my warehouse when I'm smaller, but to scale, that would be a great idea. Just order all those units. That way I'm saving the money. Then just send them a little bit at a time.
Yep. Yeah. So then if you stage it out like that, you can really kind of save that. You might pay a little bit more in shipping because you're splitting the shipment up. But in terms of, like you said, for scale, like if you never want to touch it and you don't want to pay those storage fees, you should do the math on that and see. It might be better to get the whole batch at your warehouse or at your house or wherever. But that's just something to look at, definitely. So, all right, cool. So next question is like, what's your goal for Q4? Like I know you said you've been doing this for a while, but like, what's kind of like your personal challenge or your business's like, what are you trying to see for your own business in Q4 this year?
Well, we are not necessarily like a seasonal product type of seller. However, we can definitely run some awesome promotions during Q4 to get the products moving even faster than they're already moving. But our goal right now is just to continue to boost our sales. Like our sales have done really well lately, but we just want to continue that. We want to keep going. So we want to get to, every month we've set a monetary revenue goal and we've met it. And then, we just up it the next month and we're like, hey, what can we do to get to this? Right. So that's kind of what we do. We played a little challenge game. Okay, can I get to, 30K this month or?
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, setting goals is always a good thing. I mean, that's what I always joke about with people. It's like, throughout all my businesses, people are like, "Oh, you must be a good, you must be somebody who executes." And I'm like, "No, I'm terrible at execution. I have to constantly work at execution because, like I said, I'm the shiny next idea. Like to me, I always like trying new things, doing new ideas. So, like I said, that's why it takes a lot for me to like really focus on a specific, project. And if anybody listened to my Awesomers podcast, when I appeared on that podcast, I kind of talk about it. It's like I really have to like force myself to focus. And what I've done this time around with Seller SEO is I just double down. If I get a new idea that's not related to Seller SEO, I go, okay, how can I take that idea and integrate it into that product and make it better using that energy? And then I still kind of get that feeling or joy of creating something new. And that's where actually some of our latest tools have come from, just because I'm like, okay, that's awesome, but how can I like bring that into this and make it better? So that's kind of how I've been able to come up with some tools that nobody else is doing right now. So that's something that you guys could probably do too, is maybe take your current product and go, okay, how can I iterate on this? And I've got this new idea about this like scoop or something, or like come up with different ways to even make it better. So yeah, that's cool. What you might want to think about is, I don't know, you guys might be doing this, but is, target kind of like make the Sifties like a gift for your cat, have people buy it for their cat for Christmas. Like, oh, you're make your cat have a, nice smelling Christmas or something like that. Might be a fun thing to do and kind of like make it, market it as like a gift for the cat, not for the, the person.
Yeah, we are doing some cat gifts this year for Christmas. But it's a good idea to add Sifties to that as well.
Yeah, so that might be fun to do. Cool. All right. So, do you have any like favorite books or podcasts or like motivational material? I know, like for me, I've been doing a ton of Tony Robbins. Like there's a ton of free YouTube stuff. I want to go see him live, but I have 3 kids right now, and my youngest is 7.5 months. So my wife's like, "You're not leaving me with these 3 children." So I don't know if I'm going to be able to go this year, but one of these times I want to go see him live. But and then I also listen to like Gary V, which I have a love-hate with Gary V. Sometimes I'm like, this guy's a genius. The other times I'm like, he's a douchebag. So it's kind of hard to love. I have kind of a love-hate with him. But anyway, what are some of the things that you listen to or get motivation from, or kind of anything like that?
So yeah, definitely the number one thing that I get motivation from is definitely my faith. I'm Christian, and our head preacher at our church is Max Lucado, and he's a really great writer and author. And so I get a lot of inspiration from my faith. and that really helps me stay grounded and helps me stay focused. But at the same time, I also there's a bunch of Amazon podcasts. I think Manny Coates has one that I like listening to, and there's also a company that I really enjoy called Social Media Examiner. Mm-hmm. And they do a great job of teaching you all about all the social media channels, how to create different marketing campaigns across them, and just all different people's ideas about that. There's an inventors podcast I like to listen to. So I'm not on the road as much anymore, so I don't get to really listen to as many podcasts anymore. But those are definitely definitely some of the ones that I like to listen to.
Cool. Yeah, there's another one kind of like the one that you mentioned. I forget already because I got 3 hours of sleep the night before last. But yeah, that's where your memory goes. You know, your kids steal your memory when they steal your sleep, but but they're worth it. Yeah, there's Neil Patel. I don't know if you've ever heard of Neil Patel, but he's a really good one too. He's got this podcast, which it's only 7 minutes long, so it's kind of nice. Like even if I'm just jumping in the car to like run to the store or do like a quick, not even my commute now to my office is like 18 minutes. So that's like where I'll fire up like Gary Vee or Awesomers or one of those. Yeah. But if I'm just going like for a quick stint, then that's a good one. Neil Patel. I can't remember the name of the podcast, but if you look up Neil Patel, you'll probably find it.
Yeah, I've seen some of his software stuff. I think I get it in my email. So
yeah. So he's kind of cool too. That's kind of a good one. I remember one of my favorite like startup kind of books, like things with that, was called Art of the Start, and it's a guy called Guy Kawasaki. I don't know if you ever heard of him, but I was actually like years ago. I like somehow it was back when I was doing one of my other software products. And I applied to be at, it was called TechCrunch's, I forget what they call it, but it's a yearly event. And back then it was like their first or second one. So it was super early on. And I got invited to go. So I go and I got to meet him there. And I was super excited. And I was like, oh, wow, I love your book, whatever. And the entire time I was talking to him, he was like looking over my shoulder. And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't care what I had to say, pretty much ignored me. So that kind of soured me on him a little bit, because my whole thing is like, even if you're a big deal, like you shouldn't be, you should give the little guy the chance. You were that little guy at one point, and I don't know, I'm a big believer in karma. So I have a hard time with when people do that. And so when I'm talking to people, I always try to give them my full attention, even though I'm a scatterbrain. So it's a challenge, but so that kind of soured me on it, but it still is a good book, and worth reading. But anyway, cool. All right. I know you said you're a problem solver, so I'm guessing that's going to be your answer for like your strongest trait, but you probably have more than one.
I think my strongest trait is figuring it out. I'm really good at figuring it out. I've been in many different careers. I've never had a problem figuring it out. So like, I'm one of those people that you don't have to give me the solution. I'm going to go figure out whatever it is. And, same thing with all the free courses, like the webinar that tries to loop you into this expensive course with the secret formula. I literally just go like write down all the main points and look all that stuff up and find it all for free right out there on the World Wide Web. So I'm really good at figuring stuff out, and I'm not afraid to I know that if I set my mind to something, I can do it. And I'm not afraid to challenge myself in that way.
Yeah. And you make a good point. I mean, and so many people are always, in all the Amazon seller groups, you always people like, what course should I take? How do I get started? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm always like, YouTube, Google, and just do it. I mean, people are so afraid to just, it's like, I'm going to do like a quick live, maybe later today or later this week, about like how I used to source early on when I kind of didn't really know what I was doing. Using AliExpress, and it's like people get this like paralysis of not moving forward. And the post about like, oh, I've been searching for a product on Jungle Scout for a month, and I'm just like, oh my god, just pick something small, test it, and then move on.
Learn from it. Like it's definitely possible.
So cool. All right. So what websites, tools are essential for your business, your Amazon business? Kind of like, what are your favorite things that you use? And caveat, if she mentions my tool, which she better. She's an early beta tester, and I have to disclose per FTC regulations that she was getting a free account. So.
Yeah, so of course I'm gonna get to seller SEO in a minute.
Don't.
But,
I'm just giving you credit.
But some of my favorite tools, QuickBooks is one of my favorite tools for my business purposes, right? That's one of my favorite tools. And then Loom is another really great tool because I use it with my clients all the time. I create videos, walk them through things. I love that. It's a great tool. And then as far as the Amazon side of things, so that's just like basic business stuff. Sure. But as far as the Amazon side of things, I really enjoy Sellix. Is a great app. They, as far as like keeping track of your inventory and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're sort of. Yeah, they're sort of. No, I was just going to say, yeah, they're sort of, our competitors. But no, I think, I think that Sellix, out of all the profit loss kind of tools, is probably the best. I would agree with that for sure. Yeah,
and we really like their app because they have an app for the phone that you can basically check your sales, and it shows like your products and the main picture of your product and how many sold that day. And we really love that. That's a cool cool app. And then we've used Seller App before too. Seller App is pretty cool because they have a really unique dashboard where it's from another view of looking at your sales, right? So looking at your competitors and your sales. Sure. And then, of course, my favorite tool that I use every single day in my business is Seller SEO because it has done so much for me and so much for us. So I've been involved with Seller SEO since the beta. That's kind of how I met Andy.
Yes, thank you for that. So much good feedback from. It's like all the original beta testers. I feel like are like my family.
Yeah. But it was so cool, you were talking about launching this and I'm like, hey, I would love to give your tool a try. And I fell in love with it from the start. Like Listing Lightning was my favorite because I can write this awesome optimized listing. And so I'd update all my listings with Listing Lightning. It would take me no time at all. And the very next, like as soon as it updated, I'd get the Amazon's Choice badge. And then I started writing my clients' listings with Listing Lightning, and they were all getting Amazon's Choice badges. And so, it's bringing me all this extra business too, which I love. And I just really love copywriting. I really love writing listings. I'm a total listing nerd. So it's a tool that allows me to be a listing nerd, but take it to the next level. Let's see, what other of your tools do I absolutely love? I love Pandora because I like to look at my competitors' ASINs and steal all of their keywords and then create my own PPC campaigns with them. I love doing that. I use your browser extension keyword tool every single day because when I'm evaluating listings or evaluating keywords, it gives me all of the search volume, which is really important. But the second thing that's awesome about it is it gives me competition. So then I can look and see what the competition is for that keyword, and I know which one I want to go for. Especially if I'm helping a client write their listing, I don't want to give them a main keyword that they're never going to rank for because competition is super high and there's not a lot of searches for that. So that's a big mistake I see sellers make. They'll launch a product and they're wrong keyword from the start, and they're wondering why I don't have any sales, right? So, cool. So that's a great tool to use. Yeah. And then my other favorite tool is your PPC creator, day timer, and your PPC Rainmaker, because I can easily create PPC campaigns and so quickly optimize them. It like takes me less than 5 minutes to optimize a PPC campaign. So cool. I love it, man. I love everything about Seller SEO. And you just, wait, I forgot one. Titan.
All right.
Titan is freaking amazing. Titan, we tried we had these bookshelves that we bought, like bookends that we bought liquidation, right? We paid $1 for them. And we had them on Amazon for like $20. And I don't know, bookends, there's not that high of search volume for them as it is. So, what are we going to do with these things? So, Andy approached me and said, hey, you want to try this new tool I got? It's still in beta. I'm like, of course, absolutely, sign me up. So we try it with the bookends. We have like $5 a day on Google. And in 2 weeks, we had no sales, but our BSR went from over 700,000 up to just over 100,000. So now all of a sudden these bookends are selling and they're like on page 1 and we've done nothing. We had no sales. We were just driving external traffic. Yeah. Do you know what my average cost per click is on Google? 11 cents. Yeah. Try that on Amazon. Try it.
Well, that's one of the main reasons why why I created that tool, because I was doing it myself. I was driving traffic from Google and I was having to go in and create a 2-step URL, create an ad, find the keywords, all that. I mean, that's why that tool, and actually that tool, I didn't know this, but that's kind of why You know, why I said earlier, like why you got to, you know, put your ideas maybe back into your own tool. Cause that tool I was actually thinking about building as a separate tool. And then I decided, okay, no, how can I spin this for Amazon? And that's when the, you know, automating the 2-step URLs came into play and doing all that.
And you know what's great about Google Ads? Well, two things. Google Ads and Amazon, what's great about them is customers go with the intent to buy. They go on Google with the intent to buy. If you're running Facebook ads, you're probably wasting your money because customers do not have the intent to buy on Facebook unless you're giving 50 or 60% off.
Yep.
You're going on Google. So what it does is if you change it to Amazon, then it's twice the conversion. So if I'm running Google Ads to my website, I'm not going to have a lot of conversions. My website is, nobody knows who I am and what my website is. But if I run that to Amazon, customers instantly see that and they're like, yep, going to Amazon to buy that. And your tool builds in those Amazon keywords into my other keywords, which is awesome on Google. So yeah, it's incredible. I think people really need to think about the easy way to drive external traffic is through Google, and your tool makes that simple for them.
Yeah, thank you. Well, yeah, so part of the reason why you know, a lot of people, including yourself, are using that tool, and kind of like for us, we dropped our PPC budgets a lot and then upped our Google budgets, because on with the new algorithm now, you don't get as much rank for PPC conversions as you do from offsite traffic versions, because Amazon's smart. They want you to drive free traffic to their website because they know that they're going to buy your product and then add something else to the cart. So it's a win-win for them. They might be losing out on the PPC, but in the end, they're getting more customers, which will drive other sellers' PPCs who aren't using offsite traffic, drive their prices up. Not only that, but the reason why you're getting such cheap clicks is because Amazon.com is such a strong domain. When you put that in the Google goes, oh, this is a super strong domain name, so you're only going to pay 11 cents a click. Like you said, if you were sending that same traffic to your website, you'd probably pay 50 or 60 cents a click, because they don't know, you know, you're especially if you're a newer website, stuff like that, there's no signals there to tell Google that you're an established business, and you know, and so they're going to charge you more money. So yeah, that's those are
my daily budget for each product campaign is like $5. It's so great. Yep. And my sales have tripled. So, and now I'm just running like the basic PPC campaign on Amazon for like 3 cents a click, and I haven't. It's been wonderful. Yeah. Cool. I'm happy I met you, Andy.
Well, my whole thing is like, you know, just keep iterating, keep making this stuff better. You know, our focus right now, because we went from 0 to 100, you know, we launched, we were pretty aggressive at launch. I think we had like 7 tools at launch, and now we're up to 11. But we're kind of circling the wagons back now and just trying to go back and kill bugs and make the site work really well. That's kind of the main focus right now. I mean, we still have some other tools in the roadmap and we have a lot of cool stuff planned, but you know, we kind of want to make sure that we don't go too fast. I made that mistake with one of my early websites where I could have been a multi-millionaire, but because I added features too quickly, you know, it got all cluttered up and kind of ruined the experience. So that's kind of what we're circling back on that right now. So, but I mean, one of the most, you know, one of the best things that, you know, kind of drives me every day is when I come on and I see people like you who are making more money using my tools. That's what, like, because before I was doing, you know, we still do it, you know, we do coaching and we have clients to help them optimize their listings. We do all that kind of stuff. But what I realized when I was doing that is, you know, I can only help so many people that way. But if I build tools that help, you know, that automate that process. So a lot of reason these tools, you know, the way they work are just taking my knowledge that you know, I've had selling on Amazon for years and years and years, and then figuring out how to put it into a tool, you know, because I can't be everywhere helping all these people, especially, you know, hourly rate wise, it's not conducive. So how can I build tools that are going to help as many people as possible? So that's kind of what I did with that tool. And when I see people being successful, that's what drives me, because I'm like, that's so awesome. Like I want to make as many people as possible successful on Amazon, you know, because to me that's kind of what gives me the warm fuzzies.
Right.
Cool. All right. Let's see. Do you have any like I don't know? You mentioned our tools, but do you have any like ninja tricks for like promoting your product? You know, maybe like social media, like something that's not super common. I know that a lot of sellers have them, but they're trade secrets. So this is where I said you can skip this question if you want to.
Well, my trade secrets are basically, I focus on business 101. I definitely do not go the route of trying to follow someone else's formula. I know my customer, and that's my trade secret. So I study my customer and I meet their needs. And that's how I craft my messages and how I create my products and how I find the perfect product every time. So I focus on the customer first and the product last. And I find that when you do that, you really can't go wrong. I mean, people are gonna be raving fans, and there's no way to really mess that up. And so the other thing that I do is I study retail businesses. I have a couple business degrees and an MBA, but I learned early on that, if someone's done it before, why don't you learn from that? So what I do is look at the most successful brands. What are they doing? What of that can I emulate, and what of that can I differentiate to make my business even better? So that's definitely my trade secret, if you will, is just stick to business. And that's what I tell my clients too. I'm like, there's no secret formula here. It's business 101. Like, people have been buying and selling goods since the caveman days, right? So we just need to make sure that our product that we're offering is something that people want, and that we're selling it to them in a way that they can receive that message. So definitely a really big mistake I see people making is they'll advertise like a home decor product on Facebook. They'll do like a Facebook ad for a home decor product. Your customer is not on Facebook. Your customer is on Instagram or Pinterest. Yep. Know your customer, and you're going to get 10 times the conversions. People actually go on Pinterest to shop, and so many sellers are not taking advantage of Pinterest. So that would be my advice to you: is know your customer and then go find them where they are.
Cool. Yeah, that's great advice. Okay, the next one I sort of I asked before about business challenges. What about like personal challenges? While starting or running your business? I know that you have kids. I have kids. I know that that's always a challenge. But like anything else that you've kind of had to deal with, lack of sleep, anything like that, and how you get through it?
It's definitely tough because when I started this business, I've had to really like buckle down, because I started not only my own business, but I started helping other sellers. I started helping other entrepreneurs. And that business took off faster than I could keep up with it, right? So then my business kind of suffered. And then I'm also helping local businesses with marketing and that kind of stuff. So it's like, oh man, Amy, pick something and be really good at it, right? Yeah. So learning to scale, learning to take some of those small things. Like I just put down my camera. I love product photography. But that takes a lot of hours in my day. So I need to make sure that I'm outsourcing the things and using my time to the best of my advantage and working on my business and not in my business. So I got to practice what I preach. And I would say that that's kind of my weakness, and my struggle is that I like to do everything. I like to have my hands in every pot.
I know I'm the same way. And that's why for me, it's been a struggle too, is delegating and kind of taking things off of my plate, because I'm exactly like that. I want to kind of micromanage everything. And when you own your own business, it's kind of it can be the death of you, because you can only there's only so many hours in a day and only so much you can do. So, and the thing that I've learned, especially since majority of our workforce is virtual, is I just heard this from Gary Vee the other day, which is hire slow, fire quick. You just keep trying people until you find the right person. And once you do, then you'll kind of know it, and then you can dial them in and treat them well so they stick around.
That's great advice.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Any advice that you want to give to other sellers who are like just starting out? Like, we kind of given that advice throughout this whole talk, but anything in particular that you can think of that, stands out, like when you were starting, that you wish you knew, or, wish you had a better process for, or something like that?
The biggest problem that I see new sellers make, the biggest mistake I see new sellers make, is they don't take the time to come up with a business plan. They tend to just follow somebody's secret formula, and they skip all the steps of learning their customer and learning their niche, doing something they're passionate about, and they basically just find a product and sell it, and then they don't have anything else set up. So For example, if you get this great product and you're trying to sell it, and let's say it's really saturated on Amazon because you found it on Jungle Scout, well, there's a million other channels you could sell in. If you had taken the time to write a business plan and sit down and understand your niche and your customer, you would be successful with that product. You could sell any product. It wouldn't matter because you would know how to reach your customer and sell it to them. And
right.
So that's my biggest piece of advice is, take the time. Don't wait for someone else's secret formula to be spoon-fed to you. Write your business plan. Take the time to actually learn your niche, write your business plan, and then, when you come into your first misstep in your road, which you're gonna come into a million of them because that's just how. If this was easy, everyone would do it, right? And everyone's successful at it. So, you're going to come into a million missteps, but if you know your market and you have a business plan, you're going to be able to focus and look at, okay, well, wait a minute. Okay, I might not be doing this, might not be going well on Amazon, but I can do this here, here, and here. I can create this, this promotional campaign, break even, whatever, So definitely that's my advice is this is not rocket science. This is business. And, as long as you have a plan, an executable plan, you are going to be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think another, mistake that a lot of people make, and including ourselves when we first started out, we weren't doing that, is you were talking about Sellex before. That's a good one for, know your numbers. Because if you don't, then, you might be being, I always laugh because I see these people posting their sales numbers on the groups and I always laugh. I'm like, okay, how much of that is profit though?
Yeah. And a lot of people do not know their numbers. That's the first question I ask. I'm like, okay, well, what's your cost of goods sold?
Yeah.
I don't know. And then the second question I ask, what's your cost of advertising? What are you really spending on advertising?
Right. What's your ACOS? All those kind of basics.
People are actually losing money. They're actually paying Amazon to sell their product.
And a lot of people. Yep.
Yeah. And so it's really tough if you don't know those numbers. And that's where business planning comes in because it actually forces you to learn the numbers, project them. If you can't talk to an investor about your business, if I can't come to you and say, why should I invest in your business? If I wanted to buy your business tomorrow, could you tell me about it? If you can't answer that question, you don't have a business. Yeah. So it's really important to know that. And once you get that though, you're going to be awesome.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, I think that's it. That's all I have for now. Hopefully a lot of people learned a lot from this. It's great to talk to somebody else who's starting out and, well, you're not starting out, but, kind of climbing the ladder, which is awesome.
Yeah.
A lot of great insight there. Hopefully people are going to get a lot of stuff from that. Do you want to tell people, you mentioned it a couple of times, but tell people about your product. If you want to, plug whatever you want to plug, feel free to do so.
Well, we definitely have a small group called Amazing at Home, and it's a small networking group, and we kind of keep it small. We're a little picky about who we let in there, but I definitely do weekly training. I teach people everything that I would have wanted to learn. I teach people about listing optimization and different tools they can use. And anytime I learn something, I'm really happy to share it. So, visit us over at Amazing at Home. Definitely it's been a pleasure. And look forward to seeing what you do in the future, Andy, and seeing how much more your tools are going to help my products.
Yeah, well, I'm going to keep plugging away, and that's assuming that I can actually get a little bit of sleep, and part of the reason why I think I picked this costume is because my eyes look so tired right now. Right, so I can cover my tired eyes. So. Awesome. Well, happy Halloween. Thanks again for chatting. This is the first time we've chatted live. I think we need to maybe talk about doing like a weekly chat. That would be fun. But it was great to talk to you in person. Next year, I'm going to hopefully once the kids are a little bit older, we got the childcare dialed in. We can. I'm going to be hitting the summit circuit. Doing conferences and things like that. Possibly even doing one of our own next year. I'm thinking about it. I just don't know if I want to do all the logistics. But hopefully, if hopefully we can meet up live at in person sometime and talk shop because it's been fun.
Definitely. Y'all have a great day. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Take care. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.